You mentioned it, and that was also one of the main questions about capability building in India. So, skills in semiconductor industry, where exactly are we poised now?
Look, one of the realities of today's world, the post-COVID world, this digitizing world, is that the world is short of talent, and we have in this world, in the digital world or the digital world that we live in, while people may think hydrocarbon is an asset, gold is an asset, one of the most important assets that we have is the talent pool that can help shape the next decade of technology for the world and for India. And there the Prime Minister has taken a very far-sighted view way back in 2016. He is very focused on ensuring out of our higher education ecosystem and from the skilling ecosystem, school ecosystem, that we have future-ready, industry-ready talent. So we are doing this in semiconductors, we are doing this in AI, we are doing this in compute. Every one of these strategic areas, we are also accompanying our investments with investment in creating global standard talent. And we have the whole academic network of colleges involved in this. And I certainly believe if today somebody looks at the future and says what will be the determining factor for success or failure in the coming decade, it will certainly be the young Indian or the young startup or the young talented person that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's programs are going to create. And that is certainly going to be a defining competitive advantage for the India decade.
So, post-independence, India has witnessed tremendous brain drain, as we call it, and talent erosion. We have actually gone to the West and built their companies. Do you foresee a reversal of that with opportunities coming back home?
Shabna, that's already happening. I don't know if you're aware, but there are so many talented people who have turned around and come back. And one of the great privileges for me in the job that the Honorable Prime Minister has given me is to see the excitement with which so many are returning back home, setting up ventures. And I'll give you one example to just give you an indication of what is going on, the dynamics. There is a gentleman called Jim Keller who used to be the chief AI scientist of Tesla. And he left Tesla, he was an AMD microprocessor architect. And he set up two startups. An American gentleman, he set up two startups to do cutting-edge work in the next generation of AI chips and AI edge cloud, on the cloud, system for that. Guess where he set it up? It was not in the Silicon Valley.
Then?
It was not in Europe. It was not in Japan or Korea. He set it up in Bengaluru.
Okay.
So I think I've always believed, and the Prime Minister has always believed, that opportunities come to where talent is. And what we are doing today is creating these really global standard competitive talent. Plus, the Honorable Prime Minister over the last 9 years have done something that we could never do in the last 65, 70 years, which is to give confidence. Today, if you meet the Indian startup ecosystem, and I have the privilege of having traveled to 75 colleges around the country, an average young Indian today is no longer diffident, no longer of the view that he or she cannot do something. They are so confident. So what Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has done is given that confidence to this young generation. And I say when I go to these colleges that you are the luckiest generation in the history of independent India to be students. Because you are walking into a world today as you finish your school or college to an opportunity-rich environment, whether it is space, whether it is semiconductors, whether it's electronics, whether it's Web3, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it is consumer internet, whether it's IT, ITS. There is just absolutely no limit to the opportunities that exist today. And I certainly want to give you one example, Sharmila. Recently, I was in an event where I was giving awards to some startups in Bengaluru. And I met these three young engineers who have done something that even I could not conceive. Just out of college, they are launching satellites to detect and map debris in space of 5 centimeters and more. Three engineers came up with this idea in their dorm one day, came up with it, and they've called it the orbital collision and avoidance system. So we are now no longer just tinkering, no longer just the back office, no longer just playing on the consumer internet. We are fairly and squarely in the midst of a big expansion in deep tech capabilities. And a lot of Indians who are currently abroad, the diaspora, want to associate themselves with that as adjunct professors, as investors, as mentors, and those who are starting up startups.
So the flip side of a very accelerated growth in technology is, of course, the mal-use of it. So we are getting to see a lot of controversy around deep fakes. Are we prepared to tackle all of this?
No, I think that's a very important question. I think the narrative of tech has always been that tech is for good.
Yeah.
And for those like me who are old people who have been involved with the internet in the early days, it was always seen as a utopian space which would connect people, do good. But the last 10 years, in particular the last 7, 8 years, we have also seen the proliferation of harms and criminality.
Yes.
So certainly now, as we look to the future, as the largest connected nation in the world with 830 million Indians using the internet and a 1.2 billion by 25-26, we are certainly signaling to the world that we think there ought to be guardrails and principles of regulation of the current internet as well as what is emerging in terms of AI and Web3, etc. And those principles are openness, i.e. the internet or any technology should not be controlled by one entity or one country. Safety and trust, that it should not be, no technology, no platform should cause harm, should enable criminality. And the third is accountability, that all platforms must be today legally accountable for the safety and trust of the users of that platform. So this is our Prime Minister's view from 2021. And I'm happy to tell you that countries like the US, countries like UK, countries around the world are now aligning to it. In the recent AI summit in the UK, the entire conversation around AI was about safety and trust. Now, I don't want to copyright those two words and say you've stolen it from India, but certainly it is quite clear that the countries of the world who otherwise were not interested in regulating tech are also aligning to India's leadership, India's thought that tech must always be safe and trusted. Whether it is AI, whether it is social media, whether it is any other platform, that safety and trust of our digital nagriks is something that we will never allow any platform to compromise with.
So the big discussion about AI, does a country like India really need to be worried about automation yet? How far are we from, as compared to anywhere else when it comes to?
No, look, I don't know if the word is worry or to anticipate. I think worry has a negative connotation that we will just sit and worry, and this is not our style. Our Prime Minister's style is not to block any emerging trend or to slow down technology. He believes India will embrace every new technology. He has recently given a statement that he wants AI to be deployed in a way that it will help every citizen, every community, every segment of our economy, our digital economy, but that it should be done safely, with safety and trust. So our view on this is that AI is simply the biggest invention in our times. And we don't like to demonize AI, but we want to deploy AI for the benefit of our people as we have deployed the tech for the last 9 years. We will deploy AI and create models, and we'll create solutions in healthcare to better deliver agriculture, security, language translation, in many, many areas that we have identified. But we will certainly make sure that no harm can be caused. So that is one broad premise. Now, on the issue of whether AI will disrupt the job market and the workforce as it exists today, the computer did, the internet did, AI will. But what our approach as Government of India and India AI, the program for AI, is that we will upskill we will make sure that every company today that has an IT engineer or IT workforce anticipates the impact of AI, and instead of trying to slow it down, anticipate the effect and reskill its workforce to make sure that whatever is automated will get automated, but those who are, in a sense, replaced by automation are upskilled to do higher end kind of work. Look, AI will create new jobs.
Yes.
AI will replace some old jobs. But the new jobs will require new skills, and our focus is not to slow AI down because we fear AI, but we basically plan for AI, anticipate these new opportunities that AI will create, and deliver the skills and the training and the education that are required to our engineers to fulfill and pursue those opportunities.